Might wonder what unifies the LOC. Well, there's going to be no acting this year, just talking. Didn't really have time to prepare a proper video that I thought was worthy of commission intro. So this is just where I will talk about our league. We are global number one. We got five countries represented in this league. Of course, myself as Canadian, many other Canadians, lots of Americans, and we have people from England, we have people from Serbia, and we have people from Germany. And honestly, I would love to see those numbers get up even more. So for some of you people overseas or even some of our North American friends, if you know some people maybe in South America, maybe more in Europe, I'm always open to getting some new referrals in, especially international referrals. Next, well, what keeps us unified? Well, how about the weekly recaps, everybody? For anyone that was around last year, the weekly recaps were added, and what a difference it made, right? I mean, to wake up every morning after football week is over and to go over the recap of every single league in the format of what happened, it really does unify the tiers. And I do think it unifies also the dynasties. So of course, we added the new dynasty this year, so we are now five leagues in the LOC format. And this year, once again, those weekly recaps will be featured, adding the new dynasty as well. Last but not least, we are the LOC family. It was funny. This league was once criticized for being a family league. It is a family league. We got wives in here. We got brothers in here. We might even have some sisters in here. Well, we got a sister-in-law. So yeah, we are family. And honestly, for the teams that have been around a long time, I just want to say thank you. A lot of you have stuck up for me in a lot of scenarios where, I it felt like, is this really worth going on? And lots of shout outs to people like Dushan, Danny, Ryan. I could think of many more, but those are a few that I just think about that were there in certain situations when I really needed another voice, and you were there. So I just want to say thank you to this LOC family for sticking by my side. And really, it's you that makes this the best fantasy league out there. Thank you.
A few moments later.
Hey everyone, guess is back. It's Kamish back here with another draft preview, and this time we're featuring Danny and Billsy Bob's out of the Maple Leaf. A guy that we said this is his 11th year in. It's actually technically his 11 and a half year in. I think you joined halfway through year two, but I never did keep your career statistics in that year too, which were awful anyways. So it's better off that we just say this is your 11th year. So as far as I'm concerned, just like Luke, the too good for a name when we featured him, I consider you guys original owners when you've been now in the league for over a decade. I'm just going to share my screen now, and we'll get right into your preview, Danny. All right, here we go. Danny and Billsy Bob's 2026 draft preview. We start with the keepers, of course, and I think, yeah, you probably had the best quarterback in fantasy, right? Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. You're likely a Bills fan being in that area, obviously, just on the Canadian side. But, is Josh Allen going to get better? Probably. I mean, they added DJ Moore. There's going to be a lot of pressure to perform in the new stadium. So I do see Josh Allen having another monster year. Is he QB1? Hard to say, but he's consistently shown he's going to be top three. And I would say he's just a bona fide keeper that you don't get rid of until you see signs of decline. Now, when we look at your other keepers, you do have DeAndre Swift running the rock there for Chicago. I know the rookie Monin guy came on a little bit last year. We'll have to see if he eats into some snaps for DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, I mean, I'm just pulling him up here. He's still only 27 years old. So, he definitely still has a couple of years left in him, probably, but definitely getting near the tail end. You also decided to keep Rico Dowdle for Pittsburgh. We'll have to see again what his role is going to look like. Jalen Warren, of course, is still there. Caleb Johnson, also the second year player who was a bit of a disappointment last year, which is probably why they brought in Rico Dowdle. And, again, most running back situations across the teams in the league are it's running back by committee now, right? I mean, teams have gone away from the 1A running back for the most part, or the bell cow, you could call it, which makes sense. I mean, these guys get a lot of tread on the tires, and if you can have two running backs that can produce, I think one of the teams I remember in my younger years that did that were the Browns with Kevin McInerney as Biner, right? So if you can have two running backs that perform, I think it's good thing. We already talked about having potentially the QB one. You potentially have the WR one here as well in the league with Jamar Chase. I think a healthy Joe Burrow is going to catapult Jamar Chase right back up there in the WR1 status. I think Joe Burrow will be healthy all year, and I do expect a better year offensively in fantasy for the Cincinnati Bengals players, and that's across the map. So Chase Brown, Burrow, T. Higgins maybe to a lesser extent because he did get a lot of touchdowns last year, but yeah, I'd see big things for Jamar Chase, and then you're deciding to go with Quentin Johnston as your fifth keeper on offense, wide receiver for the Chargers. Again, he really took off last year, and what I hear, the reports are sounding pretty good. I would say probably Lad McConkey is going to get the most volume this year, though. I just have a feeling. I know he had a down year last year, but I do think he will get the most volume. And, I think you have some decisions to make, right? Because DJ Moore, you have him on the roster. He's in Buffalo now. Could you get the double dip going with Josh Allen and DJ Moore? I mean, if those guys throw to each other on a touchdown, that's instantly 12 points for you without even factoring in the yards, the completion points, as well as the reception points, which can lead to huge numbers, right? So on the offensive side, I think you do definitely have to consider DJ Moore as a potential keeper. There's no one really else that I would consider on your roster that could be keeper. And then looking at linebacker or IDP here, you got Jordan Brooks, who I believe was IDP 1 last year with the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are going to be terrible. So Jordan Brooks is going to get a ton of tackles. I definitely think he's a great keeper. You have a lot of guys you could keep at IDP, though. There's Quay Walker now with the Raiders, Zaire Franklin now with Green Bay, Jack Campbell, who's considered by a lot of sites to be the IDP 1 projection this year. So, there's three guys there. If anyone's still looking to upgrade at IDP, I mean, we did Clengy's preview yesterday. That's probably someone you might want to think about, right? Just throwing that out there is reaching out to Billsy Bobs and trying to make a deal. Because yeah, if you can score Jack Campbell as an IDP keeper, that's a big win for sure. All right, looking at your recap. Oh, and I'm sorry, Billsy Bobs, I didn't change the photo here. I still have Clengy, so I deeply apologize for that. I do these fairly late at night or early in the morning. So my apologies. We are doing Billsy Bob's preview. Sorry, Clengy and Billsy Bobs, but it was Billsy Bobs that finished fourth place last year, an 11-3 record. It's brought up that career record to 61-74 after a very rough start to the LOC. You've really figured it out, and you were one spot out of more money. And by more money, I say you did win the division last year, and that more money could have been the third place as well, which would have been pretty sweet, I'm sure. But a fourth place finish is nothing to scoff at, that, especially in this league. Those are pretty good results for sure. All right, getting into your draft pick scenario here. This is where things get a bit tricky to finish fourth. You did go all in a little bit, right? So you can see you don't have the 3 picks here in the first 10 rounds. You only have 7 picks. The beautiful thing is, though, you did keep your first 5. And I think by keeping the first 5, that gives you the ability to round out the offense. Yeah, your IDPs might not be quite as good as everybody else's when IDPs start coming off the board. But you should still be able to round out a pretty solid offense. And, again, if you look at it, you're picking 17 and 24th. So that's only a wait time of 7 picks, which really isn't all that long when you think about it. It's just the next round that gets tougher. You can see you're waiting 33 picks before you pick that 7 picks away again. So the 7 picks away, you could double up on a position potentially, or really just spread it out. And obviously, you'll just have to see how the draft pans out to do what you think is best for your team. You can also see you have the no 13. From my perspective, could someone get an IDP for maybe around 13? Maybe not Jack Campbell, but maybe somebody like Quay Walker, right? If somebody wanted to upgrade, I think around 13 would be a good fair asking price there for anyone watching these previews. And for you, Billsy Bobs, that fills up the mid rounds, right? So you wouldn't be missing a pick there. I mean, they're going back in the draft anyways, right? So that's something that a lot of teams watching this, if you have weak IDPs, you should consider it. And for you, Billsy Bobs, again, outside Jack Campbell, probably you'd probably want a little bit more for. A guy like Quay Walker could definitely go at round 13. And then looking at rounds 21 to 29, you can see, well, you do have what, 7 picks in the final 3 rounds. Not ideal, right? That's almost 25% of your draft capital in the last 3 rounds. We picked 29 picks, right? So, 7 is a quarter of 28. So just less than 25%. So that could create some problems for you. But at that point, you're just picking depth anyways. And for you, with what's available around those rounds, you might want to be picking the depth of like high flying rookies. And by high flying rookies, I mean not the good rookies, obviously. I mean, you're going to be picking guys that maybe a flyer, really. It's either that or you're picking a WR4 or 5 at that stage, or a backup linebacker, maybe even third on the depth chart. So you're not going to get a lot of talent in those final 3 rounds, that's for sure. And if you could reduce that to 6 by trading away the IDP, that's at least one way that you could improve your draft pick scenario. All right, so first pick here, you're picking at 17, so I do think you're going to go best available. This is what Sleeper's ADP has. I think their ADP is terrible. I will throw that out there. ADP meaning average draft position. But according to Sleeper, at pick 17, you'd be looking at someone like Mark Andrews or Jake Ferguson on the tight end side of things. You could be looking at Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, or Tyler Algier on the running back side of things, or Michael Pittman at wide receiver, right? So either or. I mean, again, you might pick someone different than those players. But even if you got a guy like Aaron Jones, he would be a great third running back. He's still going to get the most of the receptions out of the backfield, you got to think. Michael Pittman would be a great WR3 to add to those other two guys, right? Or, you add the tight end, right? I mean, Jake Ferguson, Mark Andrews doesn't have the competition with Likely there now, so you got to think he's going to get some snaps. So I think either or at pick 17, you're going to get someone impactful, or you could get Khalil Shakur, who seems to get picked there every year. If you don't keep DJ Moore, because I don't think DJ Moore is still going to be there at 17, in my humble opinion. All right, looking at the barometer chart, these are your potential storylines. I see you finishing bottom 4 if you have a really bad draft, and the lack of front-loaded capital could create some issues. So, of course, the back half of the 6 to 10 rounds, you're missing 3 picks. It's a long time to wait to be picking picks when you're going to be seeing a lot of good players, or good role players going off the board, good IDPs going off the board, and you're just going to have to sit and wait. And that's just part of going all in. Again, you won the division, you won money. Can't fault you for that. Fourth place finish. I mean, that's an excellent finish, right? Consolation contender. You can see this happening again. The lack of front-loaded capital is going to affect the depth. So if you have injuries, that's going to also make this scenario much more likely. And your possible IDP strength might be weak due to the fact that, again, in those rounds, there's going to be a lot of linebackers, a lot of pass rushers, and maybe even some quality DBs that go off the board there. I see you being a playoff team. I think you make the playoffs, even with the lack of capital. I really do, and it is because you have Josh Allen and Jamar Chase, right? I mean, anytime you can have the bona fide number one projected player at those positions, especially a quarterback, and even to a lesser extent, wide receiver now. Like, before it used to be all about the running backs. Now, wide receivers, like if you get 10 catches for a buck 75, 2 touchdowns, you're likely winning that week. And Jamar Chase is the kind of guy that puts up those numbers, right? So, I do see you potentially still making the playoffs here. I hope you do, right? I hope you still have a competitive year, even with the lack of capital. Division title, I said it when I did the Milan's preview in the six. I do feel that this division that you're in, the Maple Leaf division, is the most competitive division out of them all. I think your biggest competitors for their crown appear to be everyone in the division. Mother Tucker, Green Lightning, all have good draft pick scenarios. Milan has a decent scenario, and he's got decent keepers. Krista's keepers aren't all that great, but I think she has a decent draft pick scenario. So good. It's going to be a competitive division for sure. And then looking at, could you end up being champion? And I know you would love to hoist that trophy one year. You went in all in last year. You fell just short. You were the pick last year. You were the pick, if you recall. At least you were my preseason pick to win it all. And you definitely could get back there with an exemplary draft. So you nail every pick and you go all in again. And maybe you very well do. Maybe this time around you trade a one or a two to get that much better. Like, I mean, imagine if you traded that round one to get Chase Brown like I did. Chase Brown really took off after that, right? So these are the types of deals that could have been the difference maker from you finishing fourth to first. But as you know, and as I know, because I've been through it, I finished last the one year, could have dropped if I didn't win tier two. You very well could drop the following year. This league is way too good now with the owners that are in there. I think any owner in this league now can win. Okay. And I also feel that probably three-quarters of tier two owners, when they come up here, could also win. Okay, so it's never been more competitive, and it just goes to show that there's a huge level of risk now going all in, and that's something you're just going to have to weigh up this year. Now, I mean, again, it's either an all-in year or a prep year, in my opinion. If you're not doing either, you're doing yourself an injustice, right? Again, you have to survive. There's no doubt about it, but try to get an extra pick or two if you can. People are going to have contenders are going to have injuries. You can trade maybe a mediocre player that is kind of a fringe keeper for good capital, right? And just try to load up, and that might be the scenario for you this year. Who knows? So, anyways, Danny, I really hope that you're enjoying the league. I know you've been pretty quiet here in the off season, like a lot of us are, and we've been around a very long time. So we know we don't have to always be around, right, in the off season. But you know what I always tell people: if you want to make a trade with someone, just pin them on the league chat, and hopefully they respond. And I hope that you do get the pin here, Danny, and you do watch a preview and you enjoy it, and you're getting hyped for the season to come. Hope all is well, brother, and good luck this year.